Welcome to my channel Techify with Adil. So in this video we will be discussing about the resources logs and the purposes. Also we will see a lab exercise on resource logs. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe, like and share my videos. You can watch the Azure Fundamentals playlist for you to gain knowledge in Azure Fundamentals, and also if you want to do certification, the videos will be more helpful for you. So let us get into today's video. Azure resource log prevents resources from being accidentally deleted or changed. So even the Azure role-based rollback policies in place, there's still a risk that people with the right level of access could delete critical cloud resources. Resources logs prevents resources from being deleted or updated depending on the type of log. Resource logs can be applied to individual resources, resource groups, or even an entire subscription. Resource logs are inherited, meaning that if you place a resource log on a resource group, all of the resources within the resource group will also have the resource log applied. So usually at the beginning of our videos we have seen, like it's a good practice to give the users to have a minimum access level. So if a person wants to just write, we give a role based control that he is able to write only. So we no need to give him an admin access. Similarly, with the people who having access for writing or maybe for deleting a resource, but we don't want them accidentally delete a resource. So in those cases, we can use this resource logs to prevent any accidental delete or accidental update of the resource. So types of resource logs. There are two types of resource logs. One that prevents the users from deleting, and the one prevents users from changing or deleting the resource. So delete means authorized users can still read and modify the resource, but they can't delete the resource. This is the delete resource log. Read only means authorized users can read the resource, but they can't delete or update the resource. Applying this log is similar to restricting all authorized users to the permission granted by the reader role. So the delete resource log will not let the user to delete the resource, but they still can read and modify the resource. But when we apply a read only resource log, they cannot modify, they cannot delete, only they can read the resource. It's like a reader role. How do I manage resource logs? So you can manage resource logs from the Azure portal, PowerShell and CLI, or from an Azure Resource Manager template. So to view, add or delete logs in the Azure portal, go to the settings section of any resources settings pane in the Azure portal. So you can see here, so this is a storage account, a resource. So you can go to the settings pane here, so down you can find the log. So from here you can manage the resource logs. So how do I delete or change the resource logged resources? So we saw if you apply the resource log, then it will prevent from deleting. So how do we change that? So although the logging helps prevent accidental changes, you can still make changes by following these two steps. So to modify a locked resource, you must first remove the log. After you remove, you can apply any action you have permissions to perform. Then you reapply the log. Resource logs apply regardless of role-based access control permissions. So even if you are an owner of the resource, you must still remove the log before you can perform the blocked activity. So we have also seen that resource logs are inherited. So example, if there is a resource group and you have some resources under it, and when you're trying to delete the resource group, in the case of having one of the resource with deletion locked resource, like resource log. So if that is the case, still it will prevent, because the thing is when you're trying to delete the resource group, it is going to be affected by the log applied to your resources, that's the VM or whatever resources, that's a resource there you have applied the lock resource, then it will still going to affect it. We will continue with the lab session now. So we go to the Azure portal, then we create a resource. So we create here storage account. So we leave the subscription and resource group default because I have created the just one resource group. So the storage name, we make it storage and 9924. So we leave the location default, then the performance as standard, and this one we change to LRS to reduce the charges actually. Then we review and create. So it is doing validation. Just in case if the storage account name is already taken, then you will get an error here. So our storage account name seems to be available, so it's deploying the storage account. So once the storage account is created, then we go to the resources. So still deployment is in progress. You can see the status here as well. So you can see under notification you will see it. It's running and deployment is in progress. Once it's created, then you will have the update here as well. Okay, so deployment is succeeded. So we go to the resource. So once we are in the resource, under settings pane, we can see lock. So here we are going to apply the lock to the resource. So we go select, then we add here, then we lock name, we can give lock 01. Then this lock type we can choose from read only or delete. So we just leave it read only here, then we click OK, then the lock will be created. So we have to add a container to verify the things. So we go to the container, we see so data storage, then here we have containers. Click on container, then we create a container here. So we name the container with storage 9924 container 01. So we have named the container. Now we will be clicking on create. We should receive an error here. The error message, what the error message is, we click it. Failed to create the scope, storage cannot be performed, write operation because the following scope are locked. So we have locked the storage account as read only. So I don't have any permission to modify. I mean, like, I don't have any writing permission on it, so I cannot create any containers to that. So now we go back to the, so in this case what I should be doing is we have to go back to the lock Then okay, we should go to the storage account first. Then go to the resource settings, we go to the lock. Okay, so here we have our lock we created. So now we have to change this lock type to delete. So I have write access, but I cannot delete the resource. So now we go back to the container. So I try to create a container, take away with other storage 4 container 01. So click on. So we are able to successfully create the container. So this is the container. So this is the container we have created. So as per the new lock settings we have changed, I don't have delete permission for this lock. So but I will be able to write anything. Now we go back to the storage account. Under the overview, now I'm trying to delete. So we select. So these are the resources under that. I'm trying to delete. It's already grayed off because this storage can't be deleted because this resource or its parent has delete lock. Locks must be removed before this resource can be deleted. So as I mentioned, either this resource or the parent. So the locks are inherits the locks from the parent resources. So if you need to delete it, what we will have to do is we have to again go back to our lock section. Then we need to delete the lock first. So once the lock is deleted, then we should be able to. So here's the lock. So I am deleting the lock here first. So there is no more lock. Now go back to the overview. Now here I click on delete. So the storage account name, storage 9924. So it's already able to we don't see the notification here. So previously when there was a lock, we had a notification here. So now we don't see the notification anymore here. So I click on delete. It's asking for confirmation. Confirm delete. Now it's deleting the storage account. So the storage account has been deleted. So this is how we can manage using the lock. So you can create a lock with read only, then we can have delete locks. So if you create read only, then you're not able to write anything. You should be able to read. If you add a delete lock, then you will not be able to delete resources, but you should be able to write on the resources.